There you go. Hey, everybody. We are, it is Tuesday night, the 18th of November, and thanks for being on the Zoom call tonight. We are talking about how do we build a team or attract health coaches to join us in our mission to get America healthy. And why is it that we would want even to have health coaches? We're in a great business where we can build our business just by clients, just supporting clients, or we can build teams of health coaches. And one of the unique things about our business is that we don't get paid to acquire health coaches. So we are not a recruiting machine because it doesn't serve us in any way, shape, or form to bring someone on that we don't like, that we don't think will be successful, that we don't want to work with, that we don't want to be part of our family and mission. So it's a really interesting thing, and yet we can have the same maybe concepts and drawbacks and fears that we would. So why, anyone want to just jump in? Why would we want to have health coaches? Why would we want to bring on more people onto our team?
Further our mission, get more people healthy.
Bingo. That's exactly right. We can affect more lives. Perfect. Yep. Liz, I know we had talked about that today. Why would we want to, what are you looking to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with Joy to impact more lives. And, I mean, what we talked about today is really transitioning from a mindset. Is this where you want me to go with it? I'm not sure.
No, just kind of why would you want help? Because you were talking about, being an entrepreneur or being really building a significant business, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. And so bringing on, because I want to affect as many lives as I can. I want to have a successful business that impacts as many lives as I can at the end of the day. That's my goal. I think what rewards me is seeing other people create the health that they want to have in their lives, the health and the life they want.
Absolutely. And for those of us that have been doing this a while, how fun it is to see a client get success, to see a health coach get success. It's very rewarding because the difference that we can make in people's lives is pretty big. So anyone else want to jump in? And all right, well, so one of the things in terms of growing I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, but please unmute yourself if you would like. All right. So one of the things about, I always think there's two things for success. One is we've got to create a mindset, and Joy and whatever Liz spoke to that around making a difference for people and furthering our mission. And the mindset for success. So we have to have the mindset, and can we make a significant impact in someone's life? Basically, that's the mindset that you want to really go into it with. So many concepts we have. We're going to, we could name a bunch of them. We're going to bother people. They'll think we're just selling them. There's so many beliefs that can get in our way and stop us. So the mindset is one piece. And I think it's probably one of the biggest pieces, because if we're excited about what we do, and if we are authentic in reaching out to other people or really wanting to help people, then I think that it doesn't matter what kind of skills we have. But the other part of it is the skills. We've got to learn certain skills, and we'll go over some of those later. And then the other piece is our actions. Sometimes our mindset, we want to grow real big, but maybe our habits and aren't congruent with that, with where we want to see ourselves. So we may have a really big vision of what we want to create, but our habits aren't in alignment with that. So whenever we want to look at what our mindset, where our thoughts, our concepts, what's getting in our way, what are we thinking about, are we excited about what we do, what skills do we need to acquire. One of the biggest skills would be, that art of asking questions and identifying who are good candidates and really figuring out what do they want, asking the right questions so we can qualify them. Because we can really know that we have a tendency, and I don't know if you do with coaches as much as with clients as I do, we want to pull those people along. We really they want it. They said they wanted it. We're going to pull them and help them. And what did I hear? You can help thousands of people, but you can't carry 3. You cannot carry 3. If you're really strong, you can carry 1. If you're really big, like Terry, you could probably carry 2, but no one can carry 3 people. So I love that because that's what we tend to do sometimes. And so go ahead. What is some of the one of the big mindset piece that I always think about in my experience, and has come down to it, is entrepreneur mentality versus employee mentality. If you want to be an entrepreneur, all the actions that you take are investments. When you're an employee, the mindset is, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do this work, and I'm going to get paid for the work that I do. And then when you get into, this business, like, and Cindy's found this out because she just became an entrepreneur from being an employee for, 20 years. And she goes, man, I'm doing all this work, my paycheck, wait. This doesn't compute. And so what you want to think about, it's an investment of your energy. It's an investment of your resources. And so that mindset of employee versus entrepreneur, I think, is the biggest stumbling block. So let's go ahead. One of the things, talking about mindset, I think that we've all had concepts we have to get over. There's only one person that I know of that doesn't seem to have concepts. I don't know her well, but Julie Apple, I just don't see you have any concepts at all about what you do. So I got the privilege of working with her in convention, and doing a role play, and I'm like, gosh, she's so good, she's so natural and so, and you just don't have anything that gets in your way. So will you share about what you feel about bringing on coaches and sharing what you have with people?
Sure. Thanks, Susan. I think because I look at it as fun every single day. I get out of bed and I literally pray in the morning. What do you want me to do today, God? Who do you want me to help? And then I just go about my day and I train clients, and I end up running into somebody at the grocery store. I run into somebody at the Greenway on the trails, and it kind of just pours out in everything I say and do and talk to people. And I guess being a personal trainer, that impacts it because people already know I'm in the nutrition, health, fitness world. So people see me and they start asking questions, and they're like, oh, I saw that thing you did the other day on Facebook. That was so impactful. Thank you for sharing that. The other day I had somebody say, thank you for all the positive things you put on Facebook. And I try to keep everything positive for that reason, because there's a lot of obviously negative stuff on Facebook and people notice, even though they don't say it. So as I've been able to help clients, now I have clients like Kathy that are doing amazing on the program. And now she's thinking of all these people. Last night we had a great call together, and she's like, Julie, I know this person in Charlotte that would be so cool to connect with about, it's called Charlotte Agenda, and putting things out there on social media. And so I said, go for it, talk to them, and let's get us connected and do what we can. So it's now, that's the biggest thing that I talked to Dee about this, is I can only help so many people, and I'm limited. My hands are tied at a certain point. I can't help anybody else with the hours in my day. So now it's like, okay, Kathy, what can I do to help you help more people? Because I'm stuck with how I just can't do anything else myself. So now it's great because it's okay, Kathy, and now Bev and Charlotte and my friend Mandy that's coaching. So it's now growing bigger than me, bigger than Kathy. It's bigger in Charlotte. So you just keep doing what you can personally and then helping other people. And that's what you guys have been doing it a lot longer than me. now you're getting to see the fruits of all that. So
it's very cool, Julie. Thank you. And so you've had a couple of, I know Kathy was a wonderful client and you shared with us about that and her interest and passion, and she's just connected in with our team. So she's like, so great. And what is things that you say? So give us a couple of people that you've talked to this week.
Okay. Actually, this week I have two of my friends that are also trainers where I teach classes. Both of them, I'm meeting with one tomorrow for lunch, and I'm meeting after a class on Thursday with another potential coach. They are both trainers. And so I had mentioned one of them, I mentioned it to her a couple months ago, and I sent her the link to the YouTube just to touch on coaching. What is coaching? How would I do this in my daily life? And she hadn't watched it, and she kept not watching. And we would talk about it. She's like, oh, I'm going to watch that link. So finally this past week, she goes, I watched it. I want to meet with you because I'm going to see my sister next week and she needs the program. So we're meeting on Thursday. So it was like she knows somebody needs it. So she's like, let's meet. And then another friend of mine that's a trainer, I was talking to her on Monday at a class as well. And I said, I'd sent her the link last week because I thought she's teaching 3,000 classes every week. And I know she's trying to put her kids through college, her and her husband. So I told her, I was like, there's this awesome nutrition program I do with my clients. Would you be interested? And she's like, yeah. So anyway, I'm meeting with her tomorrow for lunch. So it's just, I can see the need that people have either for themselves or for their family. And so it's like, why not present it?
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. Yeah. Joy, you have a question? I'll unmute you.
Okay.
You're muted.
Okay. Julie, which link are you talking about that you're sending to the potential coaches? Which particular one is that?
It's Thank You to Dee. It's the Becca Tinter one. I don't even know what it's called. Dee can probably tell us better. I literally copy and paste it. I watched it today just to refresh myself. But I can put it on Team Palace after, just post it up there.
Great, thank you.
What's it called, Dee?
It's called the Becca Tinter Short Webinar. It has been updated. There's a new one. Susan may touch on this. It has been updated, but it doesn't have as much information in it. So I've been kind of struggling. So in the new training system that's on the back office, there's a new one, and it's cleaner, but it doesn't cover as much. So I've still been using the older one. At least this week, I've been using the older one.
So you guys will post that on Team Palace because I'm not sure what.
I'll show you in just a second where it is. We'll post it. It's a 24. It's funny because I sent out the 13-minute one that is in our training, and someone this weekend, she says, it didn't give me really an idea. So can we talk a little bit more about more details? So I had the same thing. Well, the other thing about the mindset is making a decision. And I think, for me, when I sat down, talked to my mentor, and kind of figured out where I wanted to go and got more clear about it. And then I sat down with my husband this weekend. I said, okay, well, what's a timeline? What would be reasonable? If I want to go here, what timeline would be reasonable? And I kind of got a little bit of better idea of what that would look like. And then what happens by getting more clear, things start coming to you. I make a call that I might not make. I had somebody on my mind I haven't talked to in 2 years. I talked to her about this 2 years ago. And I just called her that day, because I said, because I procrastinate like everybody else. And so I just had to I said, before this day's over, I'm picking up the phone. And she was the one her number was the first one I saw. Picked it up. And she's in Boston. She had surgery on her back. She's a fitness person. And she says, you'll never believe, I was just getting in the car. I just took my daughter and her fiance out to lunch. And I was saying and I'm in pain and I've got a lot of money that I have to put out. And I was just saying there's got to be a better way. And then I called. So, there's just those things serendipitous that happen when you're very, when you ask, who should I talk to every day, really be intentional about who can I connect with, who comes to your mind. If they come to your mind twice, that's a sign to call them. But I don't know that I would have done that a week ago before I was clear. So I just think that getting clear, and so Dee, I know you've been getting clear, and there's like a big goal in your mind, and then all of a sudden all this stuff starts popping, and it's not a mystery, but it's fun to watch. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think you're totally right. Is around mindset and setting a goal or an intention that I think we start to see opportunity at that point. Once we're really clear on what it is what we want to do, we start to see opportunities or take advantage of opportunities or act. I guess it'd be more even action would be related to that. So, I think throughout this year, but more importantly in the past few months and maybe in the past couple of weeks, I've gotten really, really clear on where I want to go. And that included setting some somewhat scary goals. But as such, it kind of kicked me into action. And I can't say that every interaction or every person that I picked up the phone was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Been waiting for your call. I mean, but at least like I had somebody I called that had been on my mind for probably 3 years. And I just did it. I'm like, you know what? I need to just call her. So I called her. She's not quite ready yet or whatever, but at least I planted the seed. And then now I have it off my mind. Okay, I called her. So she's on my contact list. But I've had some really cool things happen. I had somebody else that had been on my mind that I see every single month, and I never can seem to get to open my mouth to her. And because it's kind of a different connection of how I could see it could fit into her life. And so I just did. And she was like, you know what? I think I would like to know more about that. So we're talking tomorrow. So just by taking action and actually doing it. I also started really, just like we do collecting yeses, or not collecting yeses, but asking friends to spread the word for us, for clients. I have started doing that on a health coach perspective. So when I see people now and they say, how are you doing? I just let them know my business is fantastic. I've got a full client load right now. What I'm really doing, the area I'm growing to help more people is with more health coaches. So if you know somebody, and I give them a couple scenarios, and I had somebody recently just come to me with that, and with a connection, called her today, and she and her sister are interested. So I'm meeting with them on Thursday. And the other day I was at Jazzercise, an instructor I spoke to about 2 years ago. It wasn't the right time, the right fit. And just coincidentally, she happened to mention how unhappy she was with her job. And I just said, is it time? Like, should we maybe revisit what we talked about before? And she said yes. So I think I've gotten a lot better at listening for opportunities and taking action, just like Susan said, when something comes to mind. I also am revisiting, and I even go a couple levels down with my coaches. There was somebody that another coach had spoken to, and I ran into that person, and there was another reason to talk to them about the business, and so they're interested. And of course, if that person comes on board, they will go under that coach on my team. But I just try not to leave any stone uncovered at this point. Joy, did you have a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So you thought about these people, and you said, oh, I thought about them, and I decided I'd just pick up the phone and call them. What exactly did you say to them when you called them? This is somebody you've been thinking about and come to your mind a couple times.
So one of them
verbiage.
Mm-hmm. So one of them, I'll give you the scenario of the person. She actually wasn't interested, but she's somebody I know who's also in the fitness industry that is probably getting closer to retirement age, and so I don't know that she has any other income source than what she was doing. So she'd been on my mind for quite some time. So I just reached out to her and just said, hey, I don't know if you know what I'm doing, if you know what I do, kind of like what Julie said, that I have this nutrition plan, that I've actually grown this entire business that's unrelated to Jazzercise and, doesn't tax my time, gives me a lot more freedom, a lot more income. And would that be something you'd be interested in learning more about? So again, it's always got to be from where you see, what there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's always got to be like talking about it in terms of how it could fill a need for them.
And that's great, Dee. And you don't always know. Like Julie, Dee, and this person was a fitness person too. And I knew that she could, I knew that there was, she wasn't going to last very long. I mean, she was already stressed out 2 years ago. But so there are more market. But it's funny because I'm going, my family lives in Texas, and I really want to make some connections. Texas, I grew up there, so I have a lot of warm people that know me and trust me for years. But I didn't know how to go about that. And so I was talking, asked, and I was really embarrassed to ask, here I am, a global director, and how do I talk to people? And it's funny, so I talked to Dan Bell, and I was almost embarrassed to ask this question, but again, that was my boldness, because I learned from all of you guys, because y'all ask me questions, and when you ask me a question, I think, that's a cool question to ask. And so I think, I need to ask my mentors these questions. So I asked him, and he says, yeah, and he was really cool. He goes, and I put it in an email first to set up the time. But he says, yeah, because when I was talking to Dominic, I was going to a new area, and it can be awkward. He says it can be awkward. So what you do is you call and I'm going to show you a little bit on the video. I'll tell you where to find it because we don't have time to watch it tonight. But it can be awkward. So you just start talking to him. He says, how's your health? He's still looking good? And he goes, oh no, I'm 40 pounds overweight now. And he goes, oh, well, that's what I do. I might be, have something for you. So you have to be a little bit intentional about why you're calling. You don't want to just call out of the clear blue for no reason. They're going to know that you have some kind of agenda. So you want to be kind of clean about your agenda. And usually it's, who do you know? I like what Dee said. Who do you know? I'll call people in the Houston area. I'm coming to Houston and I'm looking for this kind of people. Who do you know? And so I'll make calls like that. But it can be awkward. So you want to listen. What Dee said was brilliant, that you listen for a need. And it was interesting, in my networking group, a man came in looking for a job, basically. But he didn't seem very passionate about what he was looking for. And I started talking to him to find out, and he said, oh, I've been in franchising. And so I said, well, God, that's kind of what I do. My business is like a franchise. Have you ever thought about health and wellness? You look really fit. Have you ever thought of doing anything like that? He goes, well, no, I haven't. I go, well, you're pretty fit and trim. How do you stay fit? And he says, well, I just lost, 40 pounds or 60 pounds. I go, whoa, how'd you do it? He goes, I had cancer. And I'm like, and so I was able to listen to him around his cancer story. And, and I just was, I tapped into his courage, and I was, just impressed. And so and so I actually followed up with him about this. I have no idea if it's right for him or not, but I just asked the question, have you ever thought about the wellness industry as a franchise? And so I'm reading tomorrow. So it's listening for those things that you might be able to help someone with. And you don't know if it's right or not. But so speaking of right or not, or actions, Liz, you had this great way of framing something, because you said, I'll let you tell it, getting stuck around, getting things where you were getting stuck about something's getting in your way, but you found a way to get unstuck. So want to share with that, how that works?
Yeah. I was getting stuck after Go Global and Convention. I understood the business path and the goal, and I wanted to acquire more coaches. And I just found that I had to translate that into a different language set for me. So the business path, I understand it very clearly. You get a certain number of coaches, clients, some percentage of those are going to become coaches, and then it just keeps replicating, and before you know it, you've got this gigantic business. But my business doesn't seem to follow that path. At least not yet. I don't have that kind of conversion. So I felt stuck, and I felt like a failure because my business wasn't growing at the rates of all these people on the national calls. And so the long and the short of it is I reframed my understanding. So and it's an action based. I can only do what I can control. I can't control who's going to become a client or who's going to become a coach or what they're going to do with the opportunity. The only thing that I can control is talking to more people. So I looked at this and said, okay, if realistically, if I need 10 quality people to be strong coaches and business leaders in order to have a big, successful business, then I'm going to talk to 1,000 people. I'm going to go for the 1%, right? I'm giving myself 2 years to talk to 1,000 people. That's 10 people a week. And I'm just going to talk to them. I don't know. I'm going to talk to them about the program. I'm not going to categorize whether they're client or coach. I'm just going to tell them what I'm doing and find out if they're interested or if they know anybody else who's interested. And so if I can control, that's all I can control at this point. And I know I can do that. I don't know anything else at this point, but I know I can do that. So if I reframe it that way, then I'm looking for 1%. I'm not looking to convert every client, and I'm not going to feel like a failure when A, I don't get a client, or B, that client doesn't become a coach, which is how I have been feeling. So maybe that's just me. But that's how I had to translate the business path into something that made sense for me. And that's how I translated it. So I don't know if that's helpful. And it's not tested, right? I mean, I just made this decision this week. So stay tuned to be continued.
Don't you love
Don't
that?
want to wait 2 years.
Huh?
We don't want to wait 2 years to find out.
Yeah, honey, me either. But
Well, why don't we all have that's such a great goal. I mean, even, think about it. If all of us made 10 calls a week or, talk to 10 people every week for the next 2 years, can you imagine it? Talk to 1,000 people. Think about it. How many people are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
17.
7. Thank you. 17, there. Okay, 17, so you can get to be global and not be able to count on your fingers. So there you go. You don't need any skills for this. But think about if all of us talk to 1,000 people, how many people is that? 17,000. Almost 2,000 people. The people will be watching the playback. Let's do that. Can we keep a track? Like next week, tune in, and did we talk to 10 people? Are y'all game?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like brilliant. I love that because, again, she didn't let her concept stop her. She just had to make it right for her. And I've had it. It's called ingenuity. I think that Julie was talking about it. It was like getting creative, getting like, someone said it earlier, but I love that. So anyway, all right. So who's in? 10 calls a week yeah, great. All right. Very, very cool. That'll be fun to track, huh? All right. So we're out of time. And what I wanted to show you, but it's all there anyway. So go to, share my screen real quickly. It must have gone. Oh, there I am. Okay. So you're going to go to your back office. All right. Well, they're wanting me to end, right? Because our time's up. So, but there we go. When you go to your trainings and tutorials, I don't know how much, I can't move things down. There are some things here these are some resources, and I recommend printing them out. You have your Get Started guide. Go through with your mentor and answer some of these questions to get in touch with your why. What is it that you're really excited about? Like Julie said, what are you excited about to get up? Whose lives do you want to impact? We're all in the fitness industry. We know people. We know the pains and challenges of the fitness industry. But I'm sure the pains and challenges, like, Michael Skardas is a physician. He knows the pains and challenges of physicians these days. I mean, that's, we're talking their incomes are being cut. and they're being controlled by the insurance companies. So we know people that are moms that have pains. They know what are the pains and challenges affecting the people who you love and care about in your inner circle. And then we have a health coach tracker. So print out these things or just use them for your own guidance. But I recommend doing them. And then when you come up to this area, building your team, this is the modules you'll go through. And I like Ken Kochman has a 4-minute, I think it's 4 or 5 minute video on how do I talk to someone that I haven't talked to in a long time. And he says, if you're going to build a big business, if you want to build a big business, you're going to want to get comfortable with reaching out and know how to communicate and make these phone calls and talk to people. And we heard Julie and Dee and Liz, talk very eloquently about how they went about it, very comfortably. It didn't sound awkward, or did it? Did it sound awkward or intrusive or obnoxious? It didn't. So that's a skill that you want to build, is how do you just be authentic with people, and you don't need to know exactly what to say. It's more about what do you think they need. So go through these modules, and there's a phone call, how to talk to a client, breaks it down with Dominic Taranelli. Recommend listening to that. And then go to what Ken Kochman says about just approaching somebody. So does anybody have any questions? We'll go ahead and end the call. But we'll continue this conversation again. Yeah.
What module is that under?
5.
Okay.
It's after supporting clients, building your team. I recommend maybe 30 minutes a week, devoting about an hour a week, 30 minutes to the leadership. Well, maybe a little bit more, maybe about 2 hours a week. I said 2 hours. I don't know if that's too much for y'all, but 1 hour, 30 minutes for the leadership call, 30 minutes for this call, and then an hour, 30 minutes to an hour of going through a module each week. And that will really, I think, if you can, move you forward. And if you're a new coach, I recommend listening to the doctor call, the nurse call for about a month, so you can get familiar with some of the questions that people will ask you. So we just, I know it's just tip of the surface, but I hope this was valuable, and we'll think of some questions that you have or some things that you say, and then let's post, how many calls. Like I say, keep a log, a little diary. This is what I use. This is my book, and I keep, I keep a list of my calls that I do. I have my calendar and I have my sheets and things like that, but I also have, so I can keep track of how many calls that I actually make. So, all right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night. Thanks.